The Morning Sun is Shining by Olive Schreiner, born in the Eastern Cape, South Africa. And just to give you some context so that we can understand where she's coming from, her only child, who was a daughter, died within a day of being born, right? And the juxtaposition, in other words, the placing next to of, or the contrast between the beauty of nature, which we see in the first 12 lines, so beauty of the Karoo specifically, is juxtaposed with the loss suffered by the speaker, which we see in the last 4 lines of the poem, is poignant, which means it evokes some form of emotion, and is incredibly sad. And we try not to use the word sad, we try and use another word like sorrowful maybe, or somber, all right? But it is sad. But we look at the title, and knowing this context, the title is not what we would expect, because the title has connotations of a bright sunny morning with warmth and happiness. At a junior level, if you had to write a creative writing essay, you would probably begin with it was a lovely bright Saturday morning, the sun was shining, the birds were chirping, or whatever. So there's a mood of happiness there. But we realize that that is not the case. So even though we're going to read in the first 12 lines all about the lovely willow trees, and the golden sunshine and the bubbling fountains and the locusts and the birds and the scents and all that, the irony is that the morning sun, her morning sun, the speaker's sun, in other words, what brings her joy, not what nature brings joy, what brings her joy, her child, is no longer shining. A euphemistic way of saying that the child has died, all right? So there's irony in the title. And anytime we see irony, we always know it's an expectation versus reality. Whenever we answer a question about irony, it's always a this, but that kind of structure, all right? So what we see in the title and what we see in the last 4 lines don't match. But what we expect to read about is what we do in fact read about in the first 12 lines of the poem. So let's have a look. The morning sun is shining on the green, green willow tree. Okay, first of all, you'll notice here I've put sight, hearing, and smell. All right. So it's a 16-line poem. It's made of 4 distinct parts. Lines 1 to 4, she discusses the sense of sight. Lines 5 to 8 is all about hearing. Lines 9 to 12 is all about smell. And so all these senses, enjoying the morning sun shining, there's a regular rhyme scheme, there's a regular rhythm throughout these 12 lines, but the last 4 lines are not the same. This kind of break in the rhythm increases the impact of the unexpected contents of the last 4 lines about the fact that she's actually mourning. The fact that what's the point of having such a beautiful morning if you have no one with whom to share it, So it highlights her loneliness and the fact that she's alone and she's not going to be able to be with her child at all. Okay, so it's as if now the speaker is looking around and seeing the beauty of nature, right? So we've got a beautiful morning, the sun is shining, there doesn't seem to be any clouds around, there's a lot of personification in the poem, there's a lot of alliteration in the poem, personification of the sun, of how the sun is blessing the earth, providing joy, reinforces the beauty of the morning, helps create a mood of enjoyment, happy, cheerfulness. Okay, remember, mood is how you as the reader feels based on the diction and the imagery that is in front of you. Okay, repetition of the green just shows the intensity of the color, and of course green is associated with life, and a green tree means it's lush, it's healthy, and then of course the sun as well is also symbolic of life. The sun rising in the morning represents a new dawn, a new day, an opportunity to have a better day than yesterday, to have some form of renewal. Okay, and this sun is personified here because it's sending a golden sunbeam to dance upon my knee. So maybe she's sitting down, and we've got the word golden there. So if we have referred to specific diction, why is the word golden there? Well, golden being the color of the sun, okay, but also golden being associated with riches, with value, with wealth, connotations of beauty. So that mood of happiness is continued, okay. The sun is blessing the earth, and the sunbeam is personified because it's been given the ability to dance upon my knee. So maybe the sun going through the trees maybe makes the sunbeam move around a little bit on her knee, okay. But it's all about the beauty of nature and what we can see. Then we move to line 5, and we see the fountain bubbles merrily. So there's a fountain there, bubbles, onomatopoeia, okay, connotations of joy. It's a happy sound, all right, merrily, joyfully, okay. So we've got this ideal view of a beautiful morning, okay. So it continues, okay. The fountain is personified because it has the ability to be happy, right. We've got this yellow locusts here, similar to the golden sun, so yellow and golden, nice warm colors, okay. The yellow locust, spring, the connotations of the word spring there means that they are filled with energy, they are taking in the elements of nature, they vibrant in the morning, they appreciating nature. And then we've got of life and light and sunshine. So they giving this alliteration a sense of freedom and unburdened life in a happy morning, that the locusts are able to experience life to the max, and they're appreciating the light after the night, and the sunshine. And this repetition of the "and" there as well is just showing a spontaneous expression of emotions, as if it's just all happening all at once, and the speaker is just trying to show the beauty of her surroundings, and we've got the happy brown birds sing, okay. So the birds singing about life and light and sunshine contributes to the idea that the natural world is celebrating life. It's as if the plants and the insects and the birds are all rejoicing in the morning sunshine. Then we get to a bit more of smell, even though the sight can still be there. It does move on to what she can smell as well. So the earth is clothed with beauty, so earth being personified there as in clothed, as in wearing beautiful clothing. So every part of the world is covered or clothed, filled with a beauty that makes the speaker happy. The air is filled with song, okay. So we know that the birds are singing, all right. So the air is filled with song, and there's the yellow, repetition of the yellow again, as we had earlier on, okay, of the yellow thorn trees. So the thorn trees, we know that it's the karoo, we know that she's a South African poet, we know that she's talking about the karoo, so that gives us some context there. Load the wind with odors sweet and strong. So the trees are full of flowers, their smell is pervasive, strong, the sibilant or the sibilance, the repetition of the S in song, sweet and strong, contributes to the sort of lyrical quality of the poem, and the poem celebrates the beauty and sounds and smells of nature. So we've got a beautiful sort of morning being represented here by what we can hear, what we can see, and what we can smell as well. Then we get to the last 4 lines, which is very, very different. there's a change in tone or attitude here, and remember the tone is how the speaker feels. Okay, so the speaker says here, there is a hand I never touch and a face I never see. All right, so focus on the stark contrast in tone and mood compared to the first three quatrains. All right, that word never repeated there indicates that there is absolutely no possibility of her ever being able to touch or see her child. Okay, so touch is quite a, to be able to touch somebody is representing a close relationship. She's not able to do that. All right, so that change in tone there, now we have a tone of despondency, a tone of sadness, of grief, of despair, of dejection, of hopelessness, when she reflects on the loss that she has actually suffered, okay, because she's lost somebody very important to her, and a face I will never see. Now what is sunshine, what is song, now what is light to me, right? So the use of the present tense there implies that despite the passage of time, despite the fact that this is in the past, that she lost her child, she's still grieving. And this could possibly describe the extent of the speaker's pain at the loss of her child. She's so unhappy she cannot actually appreciate all this beautiful nature that has just been described in the first 12 lines. All right, so the present tense there is implying that she's still grieving, and she ends off the poem by saying, well, what, it's a rhetorical question, what is the sunshine that we've been speaking about? What is the point of it? What is the song? The brown birds singing, it talks about the air is filled with song. What is the point of that song? If I can't take it in, I can't appreciate it. Yes, it's a beautiful day in terms of nature, but I don't find any peace or solace in my beautiful surroundings at all. The beauty of the morning and nature cannot actually overshadow the pain and the emotional trauma that the speaker is experiencing. And so what are the themes? What is the message of the poem here? Well, it's that happiness is only really experienced when it's shared with somebody. And if you are mourning, it doesn't matter what's happening around you. If you are unhappy, you are unhappy. So she highlights the various elements that make the mourning so beautiful, but then she changes direction and asks rhetorically. In other words, she doesn't require an answer. She's making a point. What is the purpose of this beautiful morning if it can't be shared with anyone? And it's a nature poem that shows the beauty of nature, but highlights her loneliness because she doesn't have anyone to share it with. All right. And the tone. Well, the tone. Remember, tone is one word, and always support your tone where possible by quoting from the poem to say this is the tone because of these lines or these words. All right. So the first 12 lines is definitely a cheerful, joyful tone as we appreciate nature and how beautiful it is, and how the birds and the insects and the trees seem to be embracing the morning sun. All right. And then the last 4 lines, the tone changes to one of despair and hopelessness, negativity, although we don't like to use that word. She's describing her sorrow and how the beautiful morning makes her sadness even greater, that she's not actually able to appreciate the beauty of nature.